Hey everyone, I hope you are all doing well. I am going to share this information with my group, and I am also going to upload this information to my YouTube channel. So if you're watching from there, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I also, if you're watching me from YouTube, I have a Facebook group. If you want great content and information, feel free. I'll leave the links in the video below. Good afternoon, everyone that's joining me. I am going to give you guys a good topic. If you like to share this video, it will be very helpful to your family and friends. And it's going to be the top 5 mistakes that you can make when you're dealing with collection companies. So I'm going to give you some details. I constantly give content, but there's been a great disconnect, I believe, in the understanding on when we are talking about credit information, how it is intertwined with your laws, lawmakers, and policies. If you do not understand this, you are going to be lost in the dark. And unfortunately, since people don't make this actual connection because they hear so much from credit repair companies, and people have a whole business dedicated to just what they call disputes, people or negative items, they never really catch on and learn, and it's by design. So number one thing you need to understand, your politicians, this is your Senate representatives, your House representatives, your congressional is who legislate laws on the federal level. Your president sign the laws. They don't create it. So when you are dealing with items on your credit report that is negative, you have to look at the federal law that governs the credit bureaus, that govern third-party collection companies. Let me say it again. Let me hear it for the people from the back. Understand your Senate, your congressional, the House, they make laws governing federal laws that govern credit and the banking system and third-party collectors. So when it comes to collections, it is governed under the federal law, which is called the Fair Debt Collection Practices. So you need to know when a collection company is calling your phone, they have to abide by that federal law that your politicians put in place. I'm hoping I'm being clear. Second part of that, they are governed by your individual state law. So your local state body, legislation, and judicial, they have to follow your state law. I live in one state, you live in a different state, but they have to follow your state laws that govern them to operate business there. So whoever you elected in both categories, those is who govern and make those state laws, your candidates. Let me come on with it. So when you are dealing with collection companies, when they call you, you need to know the laws they have to abide by, what is put in place. So the number one big mistake when a collection company call you and they ask for your name, your social security number, you should not be giving them any information. You should not even verify your name. The reason being, under the federal law, Fair Debt Collection Practices, they have to know who they are speaking to, because they only have 5 business days of the initial contact with you, that initial call to send you a letter in the mail, a communication. If you're a person that have a debt and you moved and they don't have your address, you're giving them information so they can send that debt validation, that initial communication to give you the opportunity to verify that debt. Why is that important? If they don't have that information, they cannot send you that letter. And if you, without that letter, they cannot start reporting that negative item to your credit report. So do we understand now why your politicians and your laws is really the key to what your credit is connecting to? So if you don't know that, and you get on the phone and don't know that federal law, they have to send you within 5 days of that phone communication a letter out, or they can't report it. They can't report it. So I have people who don't understand that. They think politics is different from your credit. It is not. That is what gives them the right. Those are the regulatory. So you don't want to sit there and give them information, okay? Because then that allows them to slap that negative item. If they send you that communication and the letter said, well, this isn't a communication from a debt collection, you have 30 days to verify, to send a debt validation letter to them, or they can start reporting it. So if they don't have your current address, they can't verify it's you. They can't send you that communication. So be careful when you're talking on the phone. They call you, you're better off by not answering it at all, hanging up. Second part, what you got to understand, talking to them over the phone, period, is a bad idea. Number one, they record your conversation. Why are they recording your conversation? Because they want evidence. Number one, that they verified the information with you according to the federal law. Number two, they have evidence of you either making a deal verbally, of you verifying proof if they sue you in your local courts. So you're giving them evidence just by talking over the phone. If you have not heard my information, I address this over and over again. When they record your phone conversation and you're making a deal, these third-party collectors claim that they bought a debt. But if you have a debt like a credit card, most people do not send that signed contract to that original creditor, whoever it is, American Express. People don't send that back. In order for that debt to be sold, you had to give permission to the original creditor. So when that debt was allegedly sold to them, there's no proof in writing you gave your creditor the right to sell the debt at the beginning of your contract. They know this. So when you on the phone and they say, do you know this company? And you, don't you know you got a $200 bill? Oh yeah, I'm going to pay that. Well, you want to make a payment arrangements today? And you say, okay, I could pay this. Boom, they got you with a verbal contract. Because these companies know that that's American Express and their ABC collection company. You never did business with them. You never gave them any money, any shirt. You never got a service from them. So now they have to bind you into a contract. It makes it easier for them. So these people are trained to do that within the initial conversation. That's why they try to get this information. And if you are not in light of that, you're going to get yourself trapped up. You're going to get yourself a legal lawsuit in your state. Now, next part. That was number 2. Third, paying a collection company. You're paying a collection company is going back to the point I just made. You had a contract with your original creditor. If in that contract, when you started that contract, if you did not give them permission to sell that debt, understand, all my people that don't understand, this is law. I'm not just writing these letters. We're dealing with law. So bottom line, I'm not writing letters for you to buy letters and just be willy-nilly. You got to know your right in the law. If there's no signed contract between yourself and the original creditor, even if it's a signed contract between yourself and the original creditor, let's take collections through evictions. If you sign that lease, which your original creditor would be your landlord, if in that lease, that landlord, you did not give him permission to sell that debt, then that company have no right to even buy that debt. You didn't agree to sell that debt. So what happens is the original creditor, let's go back to the law again. The original creditor wrote off that debt on their taxes. Even your landlords write off. Real estate tax law, your legislation, and your federal courts, your legislation dictate the tax law. Congress, your Senate make tax law. They give them right to charge off debts. So when they take that charge off, they can no longer collect from you on that debt. It's double dipping. I cannot charge off $2,000 and tell the IRS, okay, y'all, they say you don't have to pay us because that was a loss, and then come and collect from you. If now that $2,000 debt, I collected $2,000, I made $4,000. That company will get in trouble. That person will get in trouble with the IRS. Can we make the connection together now? How this deal with politics and your credit? Can we get it now? Can you hear me now? So understand that's why your tax code is changing each administration, and it's very important for you to know it, because if that company charges it off, then they can no longer collect from you. So what they in turn do is sell it to a third-party collection company. So what you need to know with that third-party collection company, bottom line, where is your legal right to collect on that debt? How do you know me? This is where that federal law that you have a right to validate the debt. Tell them to send me a validation that I owe you this debt. If they can't validate that debt, then they can't report it on your credit report. That's what the federal law says. They cannot report it. So when you are on the phone talking to them, you got to be very careful. You got to make sure you don't have a payment arrangement. You got to make sure you don't pay them anything without having the debt validated. I don't suggest you ever pay them anything at all. You make them validate the debt with a debt validation letter. So even if you pass the 30 days, you still got the right to make them validate the debt, even if they're reporting it on your credit report. If they cannot prove that you owe the debt, then they're lying on you. So here's the next part. Number 4, one of your biggest mistakes that you do with a collection company is not know your state statutory of limitations on that debt. Now we're talking about laws. When we have talking about credit, we're talking about legislation and laws. And for you to clean up your credit, learn how to leverage the laws. So on your state level, each state have a different period of time which a creditor can pursue you for that type of debt. Whether it be credit card debt, whether it be a contractual debt or written like with a vehicle. If you don't know that statute of limitation in your state on that debt, and you begin to talk to them and it was past that statute of limitation, you just reactivate it. If you talk to them and tell them, oh, I'll pay you this, you just reactivate it where they now can come and pursue you for a lawsuit. Now, there's one part, they still can report that on your credit report because that's the federal law. They got 7 years from the Fair Credit Reporting. It has to do with reporting, but their behavior on how they pursue you has to do with the law, the Fair Debt Collection Practices. So their behavior is the Fair Debt Collection Practices, but your reporting on the federal is the the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So they can still report that for that 7-year window. But on your state level, if that's past the statute of limitation, they cannot physically come to your state and file a lawsuit and sue you. So you need to know the difference. Okay. So number 5, the fifth biggest mistake is when you get a lawsuit from a collection company who initiated in your state and you do not answer it. That is the worst thing you can ever do. You have to answer it at that point. And a person might say, oh, it's not even reporting on my credit report. How could they sue me? Because they can still sue you if your state law is saying that they can pursue that debt. So one of the biggest mistakes people make, they'll call me, they received the lawsuit in the mail and didn't bother to answer it. What is going to happen? Now they have a right, because they have a judgment, to come and snatch money out of your bank accounts, garnish your wages. They have a right to put liens on property, possibly, depending on your state law, sell property, have property sold, and recoup on that loss. So when you have anything that is dealing in your state, my dear, you get a lawsuit. This is beyond what they are reporting on my credit. Some people, but it ain't on my credit. Don't matter. They are going to garnish you. They are actively now using your state laws to come after you. So one of the things you need to do, and I tell people, even if they didn't come after you, you got to know your state laws. Most states, majority of states, you can sue for defamation of character. You personally. The thing is, with a third-party collector, if they don't have the evidence to show they have a legal right to collect on that debt, you can countersue them. If they are suing me, this does not constitute legal advice. I'm just giving you the information. If you do not know, and I state this I turn blue in the face over and over again, you guys. Bottom line, third parties, if they cannot prove that they have a legal right to collect on the debt, I say this all the time, we all owe debts. It does not mean I can knock on your door and demand for you to pay me your light bill. Even if I got a copy of your light bill, what gives me a legal right to collect? They have to prove that. So if they're reporting that on your credit report, they are costing you money. They are lying on you. I never dealt with your company individually. I know the light company, but I don't know you. I never got a service from you. So you have every right to countersue for defamation of character. $500 you're suing me, I'm suing you for $8. And you need to name names. I don't know why this is so hard for people to get. You will find out who runs that company, who are the employees in that company. They make management decisions for that company. Somebody in that office filed or called the lawyer to sue you. So you need to grab names of the board members, president, vice president, name them and that company and countersue them. This gives you leverage. Don't sit there and not answer the lawsuit. Many a times they're going to come to the table because now you have named people personally, and if that judgment go through and they can't prove out the case, guess what? They're going to have a judgment on their credit report. And I don't understand why people can't, and I'll get this question all day. And I have said this for years and years on end. People, oh, they're not responding to my second letter. Nobody is here to play with people. I don't know what people want. Then if they are lying on you and they're reporting something that's defamation of your character, I don't care if you owe it to the other, then in your local state, activate a lawsuit. Get it off your credit report. I've been talking about this for years. And this is crazy that person after person in the group say, I did it, got my money back. I did it, got it off my credit report. You sue them for defamation of character. And then when they're ready to settle, you tell them you better take this off in 30 days and give me my check. So I get my money back on what I put or beyond. So you are leveraging your state laws. Also, you need to know if it's an attorney that bought that debt. Attorneys buy those lawsuits. You need to find legal advice. Always. Because what they're going to defeat you in is the court rules. So what governs the court rules and the court laws, an attorney will buy that debt. It's very lucrative. They'll put their name on that debt and saying they're representing ABC Collection Company when they're really the one that own it. And they bought it from ABC Collection Company. And they know that the average person do not know how to maneuver the court rules. So they can get an easy win, send motions, summary judgments, and just get a judgment on you, and you didn't get a chance to even go into court. So my suggestion with that, if you need help with that, hit me up. You can get legal advice from legal subscription programs with a real attorney in your state. But these are the top 5. Make sure that you do not give out information and talk to them on the phone. Don't give them verifiable information. Don't talk to them, period. You don't want to make sure that you are binding a legal binding contract with them. Don't pay them. If you're paying a collection company, one thing you're guaranteeing for that to update as a negative item, and it'll be on your credit report for the next 7 years. No problem. And you're agreeing to do business with them by paying them. You're admitting wrong by paying these companies. Then, not knowing your statute of limitations, you got to be careful because they may be past the time to sue you in your state. They can report it on your credit report possibly, but cannot take legal action against you. And if you have a collection and you have a lawsuit and they filed a lawsuit, make sure you answer that lawsuit. So you have to get really active in knowing some of this stuff that we're telling you. You got to know that policy, your politicians are all involved with lawmaking which govern your credit. Okay? That's why you got bad credit. That's why, because they put in some stinky laws. Or they might not even be enforcing the laws that's already in place. If you didn't know, the credit bureaus, collection companies got lobbyists that pays your politicians off and they turn a blind eye. So even like people say, oh, they're not going to report with the pandemic, negative reporting. They're doing that every day. You'll see, it'll say natural disaster on there. And they didn't even make them do that. They actually threw it out, your politicians, because they get paid off. All of them. All of them. That's why you got to be careful and look at their record to see where they're voting for and how they're voting. That's why your local elections, your Senate elections is the most important, because that's who make the laws. That's what governs your life and affects your life, and what is reporting on your credit report and how they can do it. So I hope this was helpful. Somebody said, if you do I do consultations? I do. The link is up top. We'll do credit analyzations. And you want to make sure that you do a countersue always. And I can talk this till the cows come home. I see Catherine, you do what you need to do, but go to the group, post your question to the group, and people that's in the group will tell you they have employed that strategy. I think I saw Carol here. All of them have employed that strategy and was able to get it off. Now, I cannot do this stuff for you. I'm not an attorney, and this don't constitute legal advice. All I'm just telling you what worked for me in the past. So one thing I cannot do, have courage for other people. You got to do it yourself. So I hope this is informational. You guys be blessed.